Welcome to Cool Cars, Interesting People. Today we're going to talk to Darryl Kenna. He is the director of the Gord Laurie Foundation. We'll tell you all about that foundation and the great work that they do. Right now, he is the head professional here at Henderson Lake Golf Course, Dean Sprittle, and we're going to go a little different with Cool Cars, Interesting People. It's a cool cart and an interesting person. So first off, let's talk about Gord Laurie and your association with him, what he means to the association here at Henderson.
Yeah, so when I moved to Lethbridge in 1993, Gord was a member and became a good friend, went to the Masters. His wife...
you guys played?
No, I wish. That was one of the things we'd like to have done, but watched it and became good friends. And Ruth, his wife, is the secretary at the golf club. Kind of taught my daughter how to walk, and Gord and I have become great friends over the years. And it was always his passion for junior golf made it logical when he passed away to name the junior program the Gord Laurie Junior Golf Program. And
so right now it's thriving.
We have over 100 kids in all of our different programs, from 3-holers, 9-holers, and 18-holers.
Yeah. Talk about golf and how it makes people better people.
Well, I think certainly from the kids, we see the kids get frustrated early on. We kind of teach them, hey, you can't really slam clubs. Doesn't help your game. Yeah. It might be good at that particular time, but manners, be respectful of the people you're playing with, be respectful of the golf course, and enjoy the experience. And you're outdoors, you're in beautiful conditions, and leave it the way that you found it. So.
Fantastic. All right, let's talk about this cart that we're going to take out for a bit. Cool. Tell us about who owns it and what makes it a little special.
So Lance Kozak is a member here for the last couple of years, and he's CES Drywall, obviously. Lance took a basic ordinary cart and then jacked it up, I guess is the right terminology. Wide wheels, beautiful leather seating. I think is a little faster than the average cart as well. Oh, wow. You can test that. All right. And just a kind of a fun thing and a good advertising for his company.
Good. Does it have a helmet?
Seat belts and helmet are optional.
Right. Okay, tell me, Darryl Kenna. Darryl, come on in over here for a second. Come on in, Darryl. Are you ready for a quick ride in the cart?
Sure am.
Yeah, I'm going to drive, okay?
That scares me. But
you don't trust me? You do trust me?
I totally trust you.
Okay, let's go. Go for a ride. All right. So you do trust me?
Well, yes. Yes, I do, I think, yes.
Okay.
I'll tell you when we're in the bottom of the lake or the sand trap.
Are you a golfer? You golf much?
Yeah, I golf a bit. I wouldn't call myself a golfer in the sense of I can get out there and hit the balls like everybody else. So.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Henderson Lake is where I used to, I was a member out here, junior.
Oh, yeah? That's a beautiful course, right?
It is a gorgeous course where I learned, and you know, I was an altar boy when I was a kid, and I never swore in my life, and then I started playing golf.
Yeah. And you expanded your vocabulary. It is. Yeah, I can appreciate it. It's a frustrating game for most people.
Oh my God! It all started with a "oh dang it" to
Well, I think people think they can come out once a month and all of a sudden shoot like Tiger Woods or Rory, stuff, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Now you're born and raised in Lethbridge, are you? Are you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Born and raised, stayed. Any reason why you wanted to stay in Lethbridge?
No, probably when we're young, like everybody else, I guess. You sort of have every reason you think in your mind to leave, and then one day you wake up and realize there's no reason to leave. It's a beautiful community, centrally located, great place to raise a family, So.
Did you ever go away at any point in your life to live anywhere else, or?
Nope.
Or no? Yeah.
I went out to Monarch once. No,
Monarch's
actually,
a hot spot.
No, it's always just felt like home, and more so over the last 15, 20 years it has. So,
Okay. What's your best round of golf out here, or anywhere?
81, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, that's pretty.
Well, yeah, I had a week where I did 81, 82. I had a chance to break 80 or lower, and I had 90 yards out and a perfect pitch shot, and I went to hit it, and 3x3 square of grass flipped up because it was replaced, and I shot a 5 and got an 81. But nonetheless, that's I can't shoot that today right now. But,
was that right?
Yeah. So.
Because you are, I mean, okay, I got to talk about our history, you and me.
Yes.
I mean, I just remember hating you. Actually, I always liked you. I just hated your team. Tom, listen, we're going back. Let's talk a little bit about Tom's roofing and McMurrin's gym ball hockey. Because I used to love ball hockey.
Yes.
And we played you guys, and you guys were so much better than we are. and it was just so tough to play. You had these guys, all these athletes that could just hit the, shoot the ball and score at will. It's amazing. You guys had a...
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Well, actually, we had, I'd say, really sort of an underrated team in the sense that everybody sort of rise to their highest level.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was actually a great team. I talk about team. Yeah. So.
Sure.
Oh yeah, we had a great group. Yeah.
And of course, the team that I was on, and I've told you about this before, but I got to bring it up because I'll bring it up every time that I see you.
Yes.
Is that
the game? I know.
The one game that was our Stanley Cup. It was just a regular season game, but for whatever reason, everything lined up. You guys couldn't put the ball in the net, and we scored 1 goal. We beat you 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, just the guys on our team just talk about that still, like 30 years
30
later.
years later.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. I can't say we bring that one up when we talk, but nonetheless, but yeah, no. Yes. It was fun.
But here you are. I mean, you're the one of the directors of the Gord Laurie Foundation.
Yeah.
How did you get from that transition from being a guy who worked at Tom's Roofing,
Yep.
and then you got into a real business or a relationship? How did that happen?
I basically just left there and actually went into the financial services, and that's where I actually met Gord.
Right.
And that was in the sort of mid 90s, sort of later 90s, and
Right.
and Gord over the next window took me under his wing, and so we formed a friendship, and then lo and behold, 3 or 4 years later, formed a company that's still a cornerstone of the city and today.
Yeah.
And so I just got lucky to have a great mentor in terms of Gord.
I want to talk more about that, but I want to come up to this Gord Laurie wall that was you guys helped create.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's very important, and I want to get into more about who Gord Laurie was and why he means so much to the city.
Yeah.
So let's go have a look at this wall.
Excellent.
Great. So Darryl, you guys with the foundation, you were able to get some funds and make this wall really appropriate for Gord because he loved golf, right? Tell us a little bit about the whole thing.
Yeah. So the first year when we actually created the Gord Laurie Foundation, we thought we would do obviously a golf tournament and obviously fitting at Henderson because Gord was a member as well as his wife for years. So what we wanted to do is launch the foundation with something sort of a pizzazz and a big kickoff. So actually the idea came from the former pro Paul Lowe.
Yeah.
And we asked for something very unique to do, and he went through sort of a list, and all of a sudden he said, well, there was this sort of crazy idea of this. He'd like to see a wall overlooking the 18th green. So we said we'd do it. So we actually sort of took that idea and just said, we'll grab it and sort of put it within our network and make sure it got done. So we had 6 weeks to get it done.
Oh, 6 weeks,
Yeah, so we essentially pulled some strings, got it done, and had it all sort of under wrap, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that night when we had the first inaugural Gord Laurie tournament, at the dinner sort of break after the dessert, we brought everybody out and unveiled the wall to his wife and the entire family, and so this is like the cornerstone. And probably the most fitting thing that I like is that if you ever just randomly come down here, there's a lot of people that just sit and watch. So very casual, very relaxed, enjoying the day. Something that Gord would do, and it's because of his nature of the person he is. So we're very happy with it.
Very good. Now I want to really get into more about who Gord Laurie was and what he meant to you.
Yeah.
Let's go upstairs and see what we got up there.
Excellent.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
let's do that. So Darryl, here you are, a kid from Tom's Roofing, but you get into the financial world. So take us through how you met Gord Laurie,
Sure.
a little bit more about who Gord Laurie was and what he meant to you in your career.
Yeah, in the late 90s I joined in the financial services, and Gord was there, and it's funny, just sort of got to know him over in probably the first 6 months. Actually, I met him for the first introduction was really more formally in 6 months, and we just started connecting. We connected quite well, and then a couple of years down the road, he just asked me if I'd like to work with him. A lot of people wanted to work with him, and they kept pursuing him, but I was just busy trying to figure my sort of way around the land, if that makes sense. And then we just connected, and a couple of years later, we formed a company in town here, Laurie Kenna and Associates Financial Services. And that was it. That was the start of and from that point, he just mentored me in business. And actually,
that's such a big deal to get a lucky break, a guy like Gord Laurie, who was 20 years your senior? How much older was he?
Yeah, probably heading more 30.
Yeah. So
30 years,
to have a guy like that say, "Hey, Darryl, I want to," So that must have meant the world to you.
World to you, because really what happens is, as anybody would know, anytime you change or do something, it's just trying to find your confidence in the field, right? And so what he did is his ability to sort of believe in me when sometimes, and a lot of times didn't believe myself, was an incredible thing, an incredible gift he gave me. And and then he just, and he was always an even-keeled guy, never really got up or down, very even-keeled. So when situations would arise that when most people would get unsettled, he would just, sort of ease you through it. And so actually that was a very calming sort of start. And I mean.
What were some of the big things, what are some of the big assets that he had that you really learned from him?
Well, yeah, probably the biggest one was, starting point was, he had a real ease with people. So no matter when we sat down with people, you could just tell he was very comfortable. He was just comfortable with himself, and he knew who he was. And I think people just sort of let their guard down. And when people let their guard down, then you can actually have a more candid discussion and get to what the real issues are, and then address those real issues. So a real sort of peaceful thing. The second thing is that he didn't talk down about people. He just, no matter who it was, he always was open for anybody to come and help out. And I'd just say an even-keeled, consistent person.
I always think when I think about financial services, I always worry about honesty, integrity, and how much you can trust someone. I would imagine Gord was one of those guys that no problems at all. What he tells you is the truth, and it's real, and it matters.
Yeah, he had those in spades. So that obviously is the sort of cornerstone, is the fact that you have to have that, and he had it in spades. And it's interesting because we sit here today on a golf course, but really there's always the discussion of how you conduct yourself on the golf course, and even how people score, or try to foot wedges, and a little bit more liberal. One thing with Gord that he taught me, even on the golf, for the limited times we golfed together, but he did tell me a lot of conversations about how people would conduct themselves and how they didn't see that as a reflection of themselves when they did that. So one of the things was he was consistent in all his worlds, and so that sort of taught you that integrity matters when people are watching or not watching. So incredible man.
So the score is the score on the golf course, as it is in the.
And it's interesting because you wonder why people would skew that score, and sometimes that's for all the sort of what I call all the stuff that doesn't matter, the the ego and the stuff for everybody to see, when in fact most people are who they are behind the scenes when it's quiet. So he was consistent all the way through. That made it easy to understand that is incredibly important.
So explain the business that Gord created and how you bought into it.
Sure, yeah. So really what actually happened was Gord actually worked out at Rogers Sugar, and at age 50 he left there. Probably amongst all the people he knew, I think they thought he was crazy, but he decided that he wanted to go try the financial services, the insurance sort of financial services business. And he started and he came and did it in, I think, the late 80s. And then when I sort of joined forces with him, he had already had an established business. And again, a lot of people were sort of, vying and positioning to work with him. And for me, I was just trying to survive. And actually, as a matter of fact, I think I wouldn't even have been in there if I hadn't started working with him. From the perspective of that, I remember sort of one point where I was thinking, well, I don't know if this is really for me. And then the only reason I didn't leave was because of the commitment I made to Gord. So it was really interesting. So we had it, and then we said, why don't we join forces? And we did. And then probably he did one of the most profound things that most people might not understand. But he said, look, we have two ways to build this. We could build it my way, or we could build it your way. And the fact that I'm a lot older than you, you're going to be stuck with it if we build it my way. So the key was, why don't you build it? And I'll just stand by the side, and at any time if you need my help or guidance, I'll be there. But why don't you run with it?
Really?
Yeah, which most people wouldn't do that. They'd say, well, you're my junior guy and you have to pay the price. And he never had that kind of ego or part. So incredible that he would believe in me enough and allow me to do it. And then for me, it was an easy step, because every step I took, I knew he was there to support me, irrespective of outcome. Right?
I mean, did he ever come up to you and say, hey, Darryl, the way you did that, I'm not sure.
No, actually, for whatever reason, it worked.
You knew what you were doing.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it worked out, right? Yeah. And I think, and he positioned me that way with the clients as well, and it was a perfect fit, really, right? So we really didn't have, we were always at sort of peace with each other, and fully understood where we were going.
How easy was it for you to be like Gord? I mean, are you naturally like a Gord guy, or did the stuff that you saw? That influenced you to say, I can't be a dick here in this case, but I've got to learn to be more like Gord.
Well, there's no question, So when you say be Gord, I could never be Gord.
No,
but I figured if I could get any halfway close, then that would be a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So, but I think what you're touching on is there are situations you can say, how would this look?
Yeah.
How would this be perceived? And so really what we tried to do is do a low-key one and always be conscious, whether you're on the golf course, like you don't want to be, swilling beer and throwing clubs into the thing. That's just that conduct. So we're always conscious of the conduct, and that's what he was. But he didn't have to stretch. It was just who he was. So then anytime when you're a younger guy, you sort of, if you're thinking of going off the rails, and you sort of step back and say, you know what, this is sort of the guidelines. And it was implied, not sort of written or, he was an incredible role model. So it makes it really easy.
We talk about, even Dean alluded to it, team, how important a team is. And loyalty is an important part of the whole business too.
100%. Yeah. So the clarity of what we're trying to accomplish as a team is important. I mean, Gord was a very team-oriented guy. The fact that he played hockey and baseball and even golf, which is a little bit more individual, but fundamentally understood the inner workings of a team. And obviously, we alluded earlier that we had played a lot of ball hockey and hockey for years and organization. So that fit really easy in terms of what it means to be team, the accountability to team members, the clarity of your role, and so all those things we lived every day. So I had the luxury of spend every day with somebody that's an incredible mentor.
And he was well respected throughout the entire city, I would imagine.
I would definitely believe so. And
well known and respected and admired.
100%.
So take us through through the horrible days where it was found out that he had cancer. And I know you've got a story there about getting cancer and coming out of the golf course.
Yeah, so I think, it starts actually with, and I'll go back a year before, he was out in the garden working and he got bit by a spider, and he came and showed me that he got bit, and it wasn't long after that he got a lump up here, and I remember us joking, not even knowing, it's something like, well, the spider crawled up inside and built a nest kind of idea, and so we just laughed it off, and then it was actually a year later he was down in LA, again, helping out his daughter, and the family did this triple threat dance, and he had kidney stones, and so they took him into the hospital, and we're doing that, and they did an x-ray, and there was a spot on his lung. So when they came back, he said, look, I have to go in and get these tests done. And I remember us actually, and I remember the exact spot. We were just coming on to Scenic Drive, and he just turned to me and said, look, these tests are going to come back, and we're going to see what the results are going to be. But no matter what the results, I've had an incredible life. I have an incredible family, I have incredible business. It's been a great community that we lived in. I've been able to travel the world. So he said, I have no regrets. And I remember him telling me that. It was kind of, at the time, I kind of just thought about it, but after later, it really sort of hit home. And then really what actually happened, I remember the day, because it was my birthday actually, and he had called over to the house and he said, hey, what are you up to? And I said, oh, just cutting a cake. And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot, happy birthday. And I said, yeah, no problem. And I said, what did you do today? And he said, well, I actually shot my age in golf, so he was 73, so accomplished athlete, right? And then he said that was the morning, and this afternoon they diagnosed me terminal. So that was the phone call. So
geez.
yeah, so really, yeah, exactly. It's like happy birthday, right? But, so and we were coming up to the 10-year anniversary actually of our company in March that following year. So we were just moving into a brand new building, and he diagnosed stage 4 terminal cancer. But that's the sort of sentence you're given. But again, he took it with grace and didn't blame the world or anything, and just continued to be himself and treat people properly. And I remember we did a grand opening of the building. He was around it and proud of that, so we got to enjoy that together. And then he passed away actually the month of our 10-year anniversary of our company. Wow. So
I mean, if you look at the bright side of it, you look at him being happy of what he accomplished and was able to just sort of relate that to everybody he knew, to say there are no regrets, there's nothing to worry about. Hey, we're all good. We all have to die anyway, so he can say his goodbyes to everybody. But it still must have been hugely emotional for you.
Oh, no question. I mean, like a father to me. I mean, and obviously a business mentor and friend to a tremendous amount of people. I just remember the funeral. We had it at the coast. It was so full. It was 600-700 people, one of the biggest ones. And actually, we did something very unique. We actually asked, and it's funny that we're doing a sort of a camera thing here today. We actually asked people to actually, in front of a camera, just say some words about Gord. And a lot easier than maybe getting in front of 600-700 people. And we actually embedded that into his funeral, and it was an incredible moving moment where people could say how he met him, the things he did, and so it was. So even then, he just kept giving and allowed people to deal with it as a difficult situation, but tried to make it so it wasn't about him. and it was about everybody just making sure they're okay going forward. So yeah.
Something that you picked up on is it's never about you; it's always about someone else.
You know, I don't like talking about it. I said I'd do this because it's about Gord.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
But then that created, once he passed away, that created an opportunity to continue to give back in his name, the Gord Laurie Foundation.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So of course that was a whirlwind year, and it just seemed like we needed to do something. And so, you know, and I know the family had a lot on their plate, because one of the things I didn't sort of tell you is that at the exact same, a week later, his wife Ruth got diagnosed with cancer. So we had a double whammy. And so the family was obviously, you know, couldn't sort of get their bearings with a lot of stuff. But we just felt that, you know, we needed to do something. So we created the Gord Laurie Foundation and thought, you know, we'd kick it off with an inaugural sort of golf tournament and raise money and do like he would do, take the money and give it back to sort of maybe the things that don't catch the headlines, but the things that really make the difference in the fabric of the community. So that's what we did. The first year we kicked it off and it was completely sold out. I think we raised, you know, 25, 30,000. Part of the other thing we did, as we talked earlier, is we created the Gord Laurie wall here, overlooking the 18th green, so that people could just relax, see it, and just have a casual conversation, lean on the wall. Very, very, very similar to the type of person he was. And then, so then we started that, and this year will be the 6th annual, and as well as we've thrown in a poker tournament in the 6-month mark, sort of offset it, so that we have 2 events a year, and I think we're at 160,000, and hopefully through this golf tournament we could crack the 200,000 given to small, you know, charities. That's
so nice. There are charities that seem to be in high profile all the time and get a lot of attention. So it's nice to sort of say, you guys are as equally an important charity for what you do. Let's help them out.
Well, one of the things that's important to us is that we know that there's a lot of organizations that most people maybe don't come across in their daily life in Lethbridge in southern Alberta. And so the other thing we knew is that we wanted to be able to take in $1 and give out $1. You know, as you know, with some charities, $1 comes in, and then by the time the administration costs, less than the $1 goes out. So we get everybody from the former company, Laurie Kenna and Associates, and they volunteer time, and all of us sort of volunteer time, and we do not take in. There's no money, no administration charges. So $1 in, $1 out.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so when we say we raise 200, it's not we raise 200,000 or whatever and give back 50. Yeah, and then it's again things that might not get the headlines that will support that. Yeah.
And what's nice when you put on the tournament for Gord Laurie, it's probably pretty easy to get guys to come out.
Well, it's sold out every year, and it's like a big family, and everybody. It's that's what we use it as a more social time, and the golf is. I'd hate to say this, but the golf is almost secondary because it's a chance for everybody to get together.
It has to be when I'm playing golf. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's funny you say that because at the first time we did it, I think most people thought, you know, the very serious golf, and then when some came to volunteer, realized, they said, well, I could have played in this. This is very easy going, and that's what it is. Yeah. Just like him, it was an easy going setting. Everybody enjoys their company and takes the day for what it is. And we've been blessed for 5 straight years with weather's kind of like today, just perfect weather, and it's like he's overlooking us as we golf, right?
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, what are some of your thoughts in your mind, thinking about Gord Laurie, the foundation, Henderson, life?
Yeah, well, it starts with, I think Henderson had to be the place that we had this in the wall and did this. This was tied to him. Yeah, and golf, every time we're on a golf course, just a side note, one of the things we do at the tournament is we put his face on a ball. And I know, and stamp at the Gord Laurie, and I know somebody said that. I don't know if I'm comfortable hitting his head, right? But what I do, what most people don't know, is I take the ball and I take it around the world when I go, and I actually hide it in different spots in some of the nicest golf courses when I happen to be there. Yeah, and I stuff them in
like the Canadian Looney.
Yeah, I normally probably could just hit the ball and it would end up in one of those spots, but I actually ended up, so that he gets a chance to see all the, you know, so most people don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah. No, I think the foundation, we're very happy with the foundation. As you know, it's on the cover of the Breeze magazine. We want to keep this foundation going, and we want money to come in so we can distribute it. We want a vast, you know, I think we have 20 or 30 different destinations for that money. So, and we see that just growing and growing. So, yeah, I think if Gord was here, first of all, he wouldn't like the attention of it. I know that. Yeah. But he definitely would like what it does, and I think he'd be truly honored for what we've created. Yeah.
So reunion game, Tom's Roofing, McMurrin's Gym next year.
Sounds good. I guarantee it won't be 1-0.
Darryl Kenna, thank you so much.
Yeah,
cheers.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.